Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Everyone. How are you today? And welcome to Conversations with God, where I read the book written by Neil Donald Walsh. And I do want to tell you all, I've had an amazing time reading this book. And so let's begin a new chapter for Saturday. What's today's date? Leo season. That's the date. It's Leo season. Oh Lord, maybe we'll let Virgo have something. We did give respect. We did. Oh, stop. We did give respect to Cancer, which is unusual. We just let Cancer have all their dates this year, which is unusual. I'm watching IG, and IG is evolving. And so, at least by way of selfishness, Leos, you know what I'm talking about. We did not infiltrate the dates for Cancer. By the way, if anybody didn't know, I'm a Leo. Vivacious, fun, funny Leo. That's who I am. I'm sorry if you can hear me chewing. I got up late and I'm eating some chop. Chop. I don't know where my cards are. Chop. Chop is okra and spinach combined. It's a staple here. I have always loved okra. Always in the day. I know a lot of people can't do okra, but it shows my West Indian coming through. And we make okra. I don't think I've tasted okra here. Not okra, gumbo here in the Caribbean yet. I don't think I've tasted anybody's gumbo yet. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to taste somebody's gumbo. But my mom made gumbo with okra. So good. Good morning, Devin. So good. And here we do this okra spinach thing. So good. You could make it in a paste and spread it on bread. You could make it as a side dish. The other day I had it as a soup and I thought I would die. Mm-hmm. So I have nothing to eat for breakfast. And I got up late, guys. Showered. Showering can take a while. So I don't have any breakfast foods. I mean, I do have eggs. But I'm not really an egg eater. I keep eggs for emergencies. But I'm not an egg eater. So I'm a pastry eater in the morning, but my doctor had a fit. He's addicted to the pastries. So I really want to listen to my doctor. So I'm changing my diet and I'm eating food for breakfast. Usually it's last night's dinner. And I've had this chop for about 2 days now. Maybe when you guys come to the retreat, there'll be chop chop on the meal. I could make sure that that happens. So good. And the chef at the hotel that I work at, you just want to bow down to him. He's so good. So good. All right. How are you all doing? The ones that are showing up, how are you doing? Devin, LT, let me know if this is your weekend of relaxing. Comment down below if this is your weekend to relax and do nothing, which I pray for. I pray for that we all have that time to just do nothing. I'm going to get rid of this bowl. I don't like food where I'm sitting. Oh, there goes the pot. And they are unkind to me. You leave a drop of something around, and those ants pounce on it. If I spend 2 hours in this room, I will come back later to an ant infested, and it be like a pea drop of food that I missed. Nope, 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 not those ants. Lord have mercy. The ants are too much. So I made a cup of Malik with whole milk. I've been complaining all week, and every time I go out, I forget to get something that would make me happy. Oh, Devin, doing well. Listening while working. Oh, I love it. All right, not so bad today. I have decided I will never order milk again. I don't know what I was thinking when I was ordering it in the first place. I will never purchase milk again. I deserve better than this crap that's in my coffee right now. People like to call it cow puss, but it really is cow puss. It's the same milk that women produce, but of course they produce it for their babies, not for our I really think the Caribbean has saved my life coming here because they eat. What? This isn't working? What? Do they eat so differently here? Oh, screw it. How do I plug this in? So much healthier, a lot of herbs. Their only problem I feel like they have is just too much rice. Too much. Rice fills you up, you know? Too much rice. But, you know, I don't have to eat the rice, and I don't eat the rice because I'm not entitled to eating the rice anymore. My body resists it. But every once in a while, I will have a bowl with rice. Not often. Not often. But man, when I have a bowl of rice, I am so happy. I'm so happy when I have a good bowl of rice with like beef stew, and you pour the syrup, the juice of the beef stew on top of the rice, and with onions and bell peppers. Oh my God. I don't like chicken stew. I like goat and I like beef. No, goat and beef. Yeah. All right, I'm done. Or fish stew. Oh my God, fish stew. All right, let's get started, guys. We are on page 65. And I'm gonna go. Should I go back up a little bit? This is where God was explaining what He wants for us. Second, third. Okay. I'm going to start at I desire. I desire. It is one, two, three, four, five paragraphs down. I desire. Because Neil says, and what is God's desire? Which is a fair question. I'm having a woman's retreat in August with my hotel. And one of the things that I've noticed is that not everyone says, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? Right? So when someone does get asked that question, right? Many times because they're starved for communication, they will say what's going on in their lives, but forget to say to the person that just asked, how are you doing? And be willing to take the time and the moment in time to listen, right? So it's very considerate here. I find it's a very considerate question. And what is God's desire? This is on page 65. And God says, I desire first to know and experience myself in all my glory, to know who I am before I invented you and all the worlds of the universe. Listen to what he said. Before I invented you and all the worlds of the universe, which is a clear indication we are not the only one in a galaxy. God says it was important for me to do so. How many of us got married? I know I got married way too young. I got married at 21. And I grew up with my husband, right? We were both young. He was 22, I was 21. And we grew up together. And by the time I grew up, I didn't like him, right? I loved him when I was 21, but I loved him from an immature place of what I thought loving was, which is fair. You don't know really what you want at 21, and the love that you have for someone in that age bracket of yours is so immature. You don't know it's immature, by the way. You believe it's real. So we got married early, but I had the type of husband that wouldn't let me go, right? Right? He had to marry me, right? Because we lived in New York City and men were looking at me all the time. My options were open. So, and if he didn't like put a ring on it, that would have been fine with me because I always had men coming for me, most times in his face, which was the funniest thing ever. He kept fighting, arguing with men in the street. Like he always felt disrespected. And I kept saying, don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Let's keep it moving. I feel disrespected. Yeah, well, you got a beauty here. What, like, how am I supposed to change that? Interesting enough, he did change it because he started to make me feel inadequate about my body, my beauty, and it worked. But in the process of him trying to change me so that men wouldn't look at me, I was growing up. My soul was growing. And I began to look and realize that I hadn't given myself enough time to be me as a single person operating in the world. It didn't matter that men were chasing me in front of him. I didn't get to know me, right? And that at some point became one of my biggest regrets. And then I had a man that changed from loving me to these subliminal messages of making me feel inadequate. And I hate that. I hate that passionately. I hate sneakiness, right? Mean, little, tiny, mean things that gets under your skin, right? Like once, I give you a good example. I put on a beautiful dress, and I've always been a hippie girl, right? The hips have it, period. Hits and ass, always. And I put on a dress, and after this, I never asked him how I look. And I said, "How do I look?" Knowing I had looked good. And he goes, "You look beautiful." And then he says, pointing to my hips, pointing to them, touching my hips. And he goes, "But the hips." I'm like, what? Wait, the hips? That was intentional. You can't tell me I look beautiful, one, and two, tell me my hips were too big. By the way, guys, we're talking about when I was 21, 22, 23. I was 110 pounds fat. So what hips are you looking at? Now, I didn't have to wear it for that to tell my idiot savant husband, there's no hips. These are properly proportioned. I actually believed I had hips. I had hips for a 22, 23-year old. I was not overweight. I'm overweight now and I rock it. I'm talking about when I was prepubescent adult, which your body can last that way for at least the age 25 before your woman body takes over, before the thick thighs show, right? Before your hips go pow, 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 your butt is like out, your breast balloons. I wasn't at that stage yet. I was still developing my body. And he goes, "Oh, but your hips." And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I never asked him again how I looked. I had to decide that when I looked in the mirror, I looked good. And when I walked past him, like to go out somewhere, I just walked past him. I never, ever again said, "How do I look?" So when God says, "I desire first to know and experience myself," that's a beautiful thing. And I want everyone to reinvent knowing yourself and experiencing yourself. I ask this of you all the time. Who are you? Right? Not the title of you. Who are you? Who's your soul? What does your soul do every day? What does your soul feel? What do you feel? Who are you? Have you experienced yourself? Or have you been inhibited by your parents and religion and I can't do this, that. Oh my God. God says, "I desire first to know and experience myself in all my glory." See, this brings me to tears because I want to experience myself in all my glory. That's what I'm fulfilling right now, which is why I'm in the Caribbean. I want to fulfill my glory. I want to feel it, not fulfill it. I want to feel it. Yeah, I do. Do you? You can start today. Don't like start. Today is the best day to start. Once you acknowledge, like, yeah, I haven't been experiencing life. hmm To know who I am before I invented you, before I invented all the worlds of the universe, it was impossible for me to do so. Second, I desire that you shall know and experience who you really are. Who are you? I desire that you shall know and experience who you really are through the power I have given you to create and experience yourself in whatever way you choose. Wow. Bomb. You mean you don't have the inhibitions? You mean if you wanted to be a stripper, you can? By the way, you guys know I'm going to open up an OnlyFans account, but guess what I decided? Oh my God, I'm so excited because I'm like, oh, OnlyFans. Yeah, I could do tarot OnlyFans. What am I going to do on OnlyFans? I'm going to whisper. I'm a whisper. You know, like this. Leo season. This is what's going to happen. I'm whispering. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's Amsfar or Amps. I don't know what it is. I'm whispering, guys. That is sexy. Now that is an OnlyFans account. I haven't started yet because I gotta buy bras. Oh, I don't wear bras anymore, guys. I gotta buy bras and cute underwears. We talked about this. That Fendi has this, that, and the third. And I don't like buying online. I'm just gonna go to Rainbow Shop or Marianne's and see what they got. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm gonna do on my channel, my OnlyFans channel. I have a beautiful voice. I'm a whisper. And you know why I'm gonna whisper? And you know why I'm gonna open up an OnlyFans account? Because I want to, right? Because God said, I desire you should know and experience who you really are through the power I have given you to create and experience yourself in whatever way you choose. I choose OnlyFans. I choose wearing a bra. I choose whispering. I choose being a psychic. Do you know how ostracized I have been when I tell people I'm a psychic? Oh, you what? It's against God, isn't it? Is it? Is it against God? Right? Because I'm always ready for the if I tell you I'm a psychic, 'cause most times I don't tell people I'm a psychic. People can't handle it. I don't want to be arguing all my life. But if I open my mouth and say, I'm a psychic, I'm ready for your argument. I've been ready. Is it? All the damn prophets that has been stated in the Bible, you're going to tell me I can't do what I do? Oh, huh? Oh, okay. Stop arguing, Tracy, with yourself. Second, I desire that you shall know and experience who you really are through the power I've given you to create and experience yourself in whatever way you choose. Third, I desire for your whole life process to be an experience of constant joy, continuously creating, never ending expansion and total fulfillment in each moment of the now. You have the permission to continuously be happy. You have that. It's given to you, it's given unto you. Listen, guys, I tell you all the time, I did not have the best childhood. Not the best at all. Rough, rough, rough. And somehow or another, my childhood never took away my joy. I don't know how, but it was a feeling that a horrible childhood doesn't define me, doesn't define what I feel inside. So I didn't stay with the feelings of what my childhood was thrust upon me. I didn't stay with that. I like the feeling of being happy. I love laughing. I love telling a good joke. And I just figured that was my therapy when therapy wasn't an option for Black folks, right? In my age bracket. You just had really bad experiences and hope that you can continue on with life. And I just figured out that people always wanted to take something away from me, take my happiness and joy away. And I never really understood that because I would never offer that to anybody that I know a lot, taking their joy away. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But people always tried it on me first, right? And through that, I begun to realize that in spite of people trying to take joy away, happiness away, it was the one thing I never gave up. I never gave up the ghost because it's the one thing that gives me life. Joy gives me life. So sometimes if I don't find joy in people, then I find joy in other ways, which is like candle magic or flowers or birds or animals or reading. Reading brings me joy too. And then I've learned that helping others brings me an amazing amount of joy, an amazing amount. Empowering women gives me life. It's everything to me. And maybe I can't sing a song like Beyonce for the whole world to hear, right? There was this guy I was arguing with on IG, right? And this woman went to say her vows, and they got to the part where they didn't show the man saying obey. And I now I'm wondering if men have to say that, but they would show the part of the woman where the pastor was like, do you take this man and will you obey? And she hesitated with a beautiful smile. And he laughed because he already knew his woman. And she hesitated. And then the pastor was like hesitating, kind of like joking. And she was like, we didn't discuss that in counseling. And the pastor goes, we absolutely did discuss this in counseling, but it was all in a joke. And it was still a pause. And the soon to be husband and wife are holding hands at the altar. And the pastor goes, do you want me to keep going? And she goes, yeah, let's bypass the obey part. Let's keep going. And everybody cracked up laughing. It was a beautiful moment, actually. So funny. Well, this shit got posted on IG. And ninjas, all they wrote was, I would have left her. I would have done that. Like, no, you don't leave the woman that you love at the altar because that means you never loved her. You work through that. You understand why at that moment she was like, yeah, it's not happening. And it didn't mean that she was more man than him. It just meant the word obey was not a thing for her. And the men were horrible. And I'm like, what kind of men do we have out here? And these were black ninjas, by the way. Oh, I'm convinced they just don't like women. The rap world has really just ruined these people. It's mean. It's just mean asses. I had a point to this. The point was I had an argument with one of these guys because they made a statement, and I was like, no, they made a statement, and I responded to their statement. And I also love the fact that people can make a statement on IG, but when you respond to it and it's not in their, favor, man, they go ham on you. Oh, I forgot. What was the point? Is third, I decided the whole process to be an experience of joy, continuous, never spent total fulfillment in each moment. I forgot what point I was trying to make. talking about the IG statement because I had to give you a backstory to talk about. I'm going to learn to give you the end and then bring up the backstory. It was important to what I was saying. Oh, look at LT. I found joy in gardening and helping others. Yes. Yes, I agree. Helping others brings joy. Yes. Yes. Hi, Stephen. How are you? Third, I desire the whole life process to be an experience of constant joy for you, continuous creation for you, never ending expansion for you, and total fulfillment in each moment of now. Hmm. It's not to say you're not going to have bad days. You're human. Your heart. We all lead by our heart. We actually lead by our brain, people. We don't lead by the heart. And then the heart gets the signal, right? So, but imagine total fulfillment in each moment of now. Imagine someone trying to eradicate your joy. You've had that. Imagine that. And imagine they don't get in. Imagine that you just go about your business, enjoying what's in front of you, creating a new version of joy. Nobody gets to strangle your joy ever. Now, that might be hard to learn, right? Especially when people do things to kick you and stomp on you and mentally like try to get back at you. I don't know. All the different scenarios that are out there. You know, it's your story, it's not my story. Because I've never, a day in my life, I have never let anyone stop me from joy, guys. I am 60 this no wait, I'm 61 this year. 61? God damn it. Oh my God, how did I get to be 61? You really need to talk to God about this numbers game. Talk about having conversations with God. Like at some point, we should just go backwards. I should be 60 again this year. You know what? I might be 60. Fuck it. Stay 60. I could do it. That would be my joy. You know, once I looked at my sister who has special needs, right? And I remember thinking, she is so blessed to not hold on to memories. You know, she has a limited span of memories, right? I remember hanging around with her one day, this maybe about 10 years ago. And I was like, man, what would that be like to not hold on to memories, not hold on to the thing that's hurt you, that all she can ever see is what's immediately in front of her. And that could be a meal, it could be a purse, it could be shoes. But the past, she didn't always hold on to the past. I went to go visit her, and she gets these clarity moments, which scares me. I don't like it when she gets clarity. And she goes, remember, sis? Like, oh my God, here we go again. Remember? Remember when I lived in that institution? I'd be like, yeah, Tony, I remember. Remember? Remember you came to visit me with daddy and mommy? This institution this poor girl lived in was hell. So when she goes back, I'm like, God, why do you do this to me? Why is she having this memory? What do I do? Because she has limited resources to hold on to in her brain. I just changed the subject. Hey, girl, we go to Ross and get some sneakers. Ross? Boom. She's forgotten what she was about to tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it. That time was bad. But man, you can turn her around. And she's back to joy. That's a blessing. Right, Lottie? A dream life to never remember the past. But you and I have to work at not letting the past or people invade our steps in front of us. You and I work at that. Don't ever let anyone take your joy. Continuously be a creative soul. Just know that you have never ending expansion and that you decide your total fulfillment in each moment of today. Boom. I have established a perfect system whereby these desires may be realized. Oh, you've got a system, God? When were you going to tell me? Because the church don't teach us how to be happy now. There is a system in place. I need to heat up this coffee. Just this. All right, let's hear it, God. I have established a perfect system whereby these desires may be realized. They are being realized now, right now, in this very moment. The only difference between you and me is that I know this. Oh my God. And that's where I want you guys to get. I want you guys to get to the I know about this system to realize I can be in constant joy. I can have never ending expansion. I can be in total fulfillment. So God said, I've established a perfect system whereby these desires may be realized. They are being realized now in this very moment. The only difference between you and me, God says, is that I know this. In a moment of your total knowing, which moment could come upon you at any time, you too will feel, as I do always, total joyful, loving, accepting, blessings, and grateful. In the moment of your total knowing, which moment could come upon you at any time, you too will feel as I do, totally joyful, blessed, and grateful. Now, I'm not talking about the church ladies. Don't get mad at me, church ladies. I love you. But I'm not talking about the church ladies that when you say, good morning, how are you? They scream blessed at you. I am not talking about you ladies. There's nothing blessed in your statement. You all have horrible husbands that cheat on you. You all have horrible children, right? I know blessed is a copycat word to, to try and say something that makes sense. I don't have a good verse of the English language, right? It's a copycat word, right? When you go into a church, you say, I am blessed. How are you blessed? How are you? I am blessed. You scream it if you can, right? Because if you scream it, then you're more blessed than the person that's asking you, right? And you scream. Okay, let me stop. The church ladies are going to help me. I love you, church ladies. But okay, you're blessed. I'll give that to you. You're blessed. That's the way that you feel your blessings. You feel your blessings do that by saying you're blessed. Who am I to take that from you? I have growing to do. I have to stop being so ugly. See, I have it in me. I'm capable of being ugly. All right, I'm over it. These are the five attitudes of God. Does God got attitude? What? Hold on a second. Got five attitudes? I didn't know God had an attitude. Got an attitude like I carry an attitude? All right, let's see. And before we are through with this dialogue, I will show you how the application of these attitudes in your life now can and will bring you to godliness. I don't know why I'm being dramatic today, people. Just Go with me. It's funny. It's funny today. Okay, okay. All of this is a very long answer to a very short question. Yes, hold to your values. Hmm. Hold to your values. As long as you experience that, they serve you. Yet look to see whether the values you serve with your thoughts, words, and actions bring to the space of your experience the highest and best idea you have ever had about yourself. Hmm. Hmm. Examine your values one by one. Hmm. Hold them up to the light of public scrutiny. Okay, I think I'm getting it now. You can't tell the world who you are and what you believe without breaking stride, or hesitating. You are happy within yourself. There's no reason to continue much further in this dialogue with me because you have created a self and a life for the self, which needs no improvement. You have reached, oh, this God's got jokes. You have reached perfection. Put the book down. Oh, damn. What happened, God? He just yelled at me. Okay, let's start over. Yes, hold to your values as long as you experience that they serve you. Yet look to see whether the values you serve with your thoughts, words, and actions bring to the space of your experience the highest and best idea you have ever had about you. Examine your values one by one. Hold them up to the light of public scrutiny. If you can tell the world who you are and what you believe without breaking stride or hesitating, oh, well, hesitating, I, I might hesitate. You are happy with yourself. There's no reason to continue much further in this dialogue with me because you have created a self and a life of the self, which needs no improvement. You have reached perfection. Put the book down. I don't know what that part says. I think I get. Do y'all get that part? Okay, listen to me. When it says, yes, hold to your values. So, yesterday, I get challenged a lot. You guys don't know it because I don't talk about it a lot. But I get challenged a lot, right? And so, and when I say challenge, like once I met a guy from St. Thomas, right? And his mama lives here in St. Croix. I don't know why I got the feeling he was with someone in St. Thomas, right? So he's like, can I take you out tonight? Right? And I was like, sure. And I said, where? And he said, I'll take you up and down the coast of St. Croix. And I said, no, I've done that. And he said, it's so beautiful. I said, I know, I've done that. I've done it 4 or 5 times. What I didn't realize is that guys were taking me up and down the coast thinking as a stateside person, that is something that I want. I'm a thick thigh girl. I want dinner. I want food. I want conch shells, right? So one day I asked a guy who I did not date, and I said, why do men do that? Why do they take me up and down the coast? And they said, because they know the cooks and the staff at the restaurants, and they don't want to be seen with you. And I was like, well, they don't want to be seen with me because of what? I'm a stateside person? And the guy goes, no, because they're dating someone or married, right? And so I was like, so I said to this St. Tomian guy, because this came after the after the fact. So the St. Tomian guy, he was like, um, I'll take you up and down the coast. And I said, no, I've been up and down the coast 4 times. And he's like, but it's so beautiful. I'm like, I know. It is beautiful. But no. He seemed so disappointed. And by this time, we had already exchanged numbers. So I had to cancel the date. And so he goes, I had to cancel because he was not going to take me up and down the coast again. No, I've been up and down the coast. No. And then he goes, I have to go to St. Thomas tonight, fly back. And I said, okay. And he says, I'll call you when I get back. And of course I said, okay, I don't have time to argue with the ninja, right? And he did call me in about a month. And I didn't answer. I didn't answer. He left a message. I didn't answer. Because I know you are like doing something sneaky. I don't have time for that. I had a bus driver over here, like mad for me, just mad. They're not mad for me. They just see my legs, and that's what they're attracted to. I know what they're attracted to. The legs have it. And of course, he flirted with me. And right away, I said to him, do you have somebody? And he goes, yeah, I have somebody, but we don't get along. Oh, oh. And I go, work that out. Work that out, right? Like, you're married. Work it out. Don't put me in the middle of your marriage, right? I'm not doing that. Especially marriage off. Nope, I'm not doing it. Last night, one of my coworkers, amazing, amazing people that I work with, one of my coworkers made a fatal mistake. And he's like, Tracy, there's this thing going on over here. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go to that. And guys, now I have a car. So I'm not limited anymore, right? I can do whatever the hell I want, right? I was like, oh my God, where is this place? I'm going to go on Thursday, right? And he goes, we go together. And I said, no. I said, you're married. And he's like, no, we're going to go together to study the business. And I was like, no, I will not go with you. You're married. And then everybody made it seem like I didn't hear him. He's like, I'm bringing my wife. And I was like, oh, okay. If you bring your wife, I'm down. We'll all go together. Mm-hmm. Yep. Bring your wife. I'd love to go then. You know, these Caribbean men are not going to catch me out here trifling. This island is tiny. You are not going to catch me out there with no married man. Zero. Zilch. Uh-uh. Not married. If you're dating someone, I don't owe nobody anything if you're dating someone. Married, not doing it. Nope. All right. Hold to your values. So long as you experience, so long as you experience that they serve you. Yet look to see whether the values you serve with your thoughts, words, and actions bring to the space of your experience the highest and best idea you have ever had about you. I do want to point out one thing, though, guys. I am not against cheating. We've talked about this before. I am not against cheating. I think most people wind up with people and their shift changes. And sometimes it's not so easy to do what's best for all parties. And sometimes in the middle of passion, cheating just happens, right? So I'm not against cheating, but I do want to tell you why I'm not against cheating. Because one day I met a little girl, and she came into my office. I used to work out of a store in California. And the poor baby said to me, I said something like, I must have said to her, who are you? And she said to me, she said, I'm a product of an affair, which I thought that was the saddest thing that someone should announce themselves as. Like, who was making this poor girl feel guilty that she was product of an affair? And I said to her, I don't think you're looking at it right. People that have affairs love passionately. The moment you were made is the best passionate moment ever. I think you were made with love. In the moment, I don't know what happened after the fact, that's not my problem, but the moment is the moment. And then I got up and I said, let me hug you. I said, but for the rest of my life, I will see affairs differently. Because a child can be a product of an affair. And what I can tell you right now is that even that is authorized by God. I don't make the rules, I don't judge. All right? I just know that we're not going to put a product down because cheating happened. Nope. Thank you, Lottie. Lottie's so sweet to me. These are the 5 attitudes of God. And before we are through with this dialogue, I will show you how the application of these attitudes in your life now can and will bring you godliness. All of this is a very long answer to a very short question. Yes, hold your values. So long as you experience that they serve you, yet look to see whether the values you serve with your thoughts, words, and actions bring you to the space of your experience, the highest and best idea you have ever had about you. Examine your values one by one, hold them up to the light of public scrutiny. That's why I wound up telling you the stories, because I do get challenged by the public, especially by married men. It's so fucking annoying. Now, again, if you're just dating, I owe nothing to that woman. The man does, not me. But married, I'll tell you right now, a bitch ain't killing me because I went after her husband. Nope. Nope. Not in this little island. And I'm not a Caribbean soul, born and raised. Nope. Native. Hold them up to the light of public scrutiny. If you can tell the world who you are and what you believe without breaking stride or hesitating, you are happy with yourself. There is no need, there is no reason to continue much further in this dialogue with me because you have created a self and a life for the self, which needs no improvement. You have reached perfection. Put the book down. I don't think I've reached that. I think we're all trying to be one person in public and then another person is at home. I think we're all trying to figure that out. So I don't think I'm perfect, God. I'm not going to put the book down. I'm going to continue and I'm going to learn from you. Neil goes, my life is not perfect, nor is it close to being perfect. I am not perfect. I am, in fact, a bundle of imperfections. Who's talking here? God or Neil? I wish with all my heart that I could correct these imperfections, that I knew what causes my behavior, what sets up my downfalls, what keeps me getting in my way. That's why I've come to you, I guess. I haven't been able to find the answers on my own. But that was Neil talking. Neil, none of us are perfect. Don't try to be perfect, people. Don't try to be perfect. Just be nice, be kind, be considerate, be loving. Have loving thoughts. Some of us can't always produce an action. Lottie, you do this all the time. You create loving thoughts all the time. That is a sense of perfection. It doesn't mean that we can always go out and feed the homeless, but you always produce loving thoughts. And that is your gift, Lottie. I just thought I'd tell you that. God says, I'm glad you came. I've always been here to help you. I'm here now. You don't have to find the answers on your own. You never had to. Yet it seems so presumptuous, Neil says, to simply sit down and dialogue with you this way, much less to imagine that you got a responding. I mean, I feel a little crazy. God goes, I see. The authors of the Bible were all sane, but you are crazy. Oh, isn't that interesting? The authors of the Bible. Hmm. First of all, God, I question the Bible because it's been translated and translated. You know what I just found today? I'm going to let you guys listen to this. God brought up the Bible, right? Because the Bible has been translated and taken out. And then there's something, that's the Black Bible, which didn't have everything in it. So, I love when I'm reading a book that is on a caucasity level, right? Because they don't always get how we got a different Bible, right? So they're talking from their authentic caucasity level, right? But a Black experience will have something other to say, right? And so when I read this part of it, where it's like, where God says to him, but of course God's talking to him on his understanding, his level. When God says, I see the authors of the Bible were all sane, but you are crazy. Oh, the Bible, God, they took out like whole sections of the Bible, first of all, like the Mary Magdalene one. And then we had to find it centuries later, right? And then I just found this today where I think it's the Lord's Prayer was designed differently by God, not the way we know it, that the church has written it. So I want you to hear this. Push it up.
The Lord's Prayer from Aramaic into English, and I just thought everyone needs to hear this.
Yes.
The Lord's Prayer that most people are familiar with is the translation from Aramaic to Greek to Latin and then into English. What each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that binds us, as we release others from the entanglement of past lifting. Do not let us be seduced by that which will divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth, the power, and fulfillment has fallen gathered and made whole once again. Came across the current translation of the Lord's Prayer from Aramaic into English, and I just thought everyone needs to hear it. The Lord's Prayer that most people are familiar with is the translation from Aramaic to Greek to Latin and then into English. It is the direct translation that archaeologists uncovered on a scroll from 1892. All cosmic burden. What each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that binds us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not seduced by that which will divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth, the power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. And so it is. Came across the Lord's Prayer from.
How pretty was that? Aw, look at Lottie. Thanks, Tracy. Sweetheart, that means a lot to me. I've always wanted to do kind things as well as speak. That really means a lot. That my loving feelings matter too. Thanks, Tracy, sweetheart. Aww, that made me cry. Now why did I bring that part up? Oh, because he said something. I see the authors of the Bible were all saying, but you're crazy. The Bible writers were witnesses to the life of Christ and faithful recorded what they heard and saw, says Neil. Correction. Most of the New Testament writers never met or saw Jesus in their lives. Oh Lord, this is changing what I know about the Bible. They lived many years after Jesus left the earth. They wouldn't have known Jesus of Nazareth if they walked into him on the street. Oh God, I'm confused now. What about Mark? What about John? Are you telling me? Ugh, oh my God. This just gave me pain, Lord. Are you telling me, God? See, the Bible's a lie. Oh, I don't have time for this right now. I'm distressed. I'm in full distress now. To be led to believe that the New Testament was written by people that walked with Jesus. That's what I was led to believe. Mark, John. No, wait, 2 Marks, right? John. That those that wrote never really walked with Christ. Are you serious? You know, I heard a couple of things. When you go to I was taught by theologians, right? So when you're taught by people that study the Bible, they actually said that. There's 1 or 2 of them that they said, well, John wrote this. It wasn't really John. It was somebody else named John. Years later, I actually heard this before. So this is just coming up again, second time, which is the validation. So what are you saying, God? That all those people in the Bible that we were taught, see, those messages that the churches give you by way of lying to you, just pure, unadulterated lies all the time. That's why I'm mad with the church. Not just the Catholic Church. I'm mad with all them churches. This is why nobody can walk around and tell me, how you doing? I'm blessed. Yeah, well, you're blessed by some goddamn lie your church has taught you. Where's my Bible? I used to have separate Bibles there. Where are my Bibles? Oh my God. I'm so annoyed. None. Is this a revelation for everyone? Oh my God. All right. None of them work with Christ. Correction. Most of the New Testament writers never met or saw Jesus in their lives. They lived many years after Jesus left the earth. They wouldn't have known Jesus of Nazareth if they walked into him on the street. Is that true? Good morning, Tracy, and everyone in the chat. I'd rather read the Old Testament Bible. But, ... Good morning, Mellerich. But that dot dot dot. The Bible writers were great believers and great historians. They took the stories which had been given, which had been passed down to them and to their friends by others, elders, from elder to elder, until finally a written record was made. Well, we know that, right? Because Africans have a very good oral way of communicating, right? Not a revelation. Sweet Cornell, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? Not a revelation. Not a revelation. I agree. Not a revelation to you at all. I got you. Ridiculousness. All right. See, that's why I'm mad at the church, and that's why I'm not against cheating. I bet you God didn't even say, "Thou shalt not cheat." I bet you it's not even there. I bet you. Thou shalt not cheat. And you can't get a man from not cheating. I'm sorry, man. I'm really like pouncing on you, but I always pounce on men. Fuck it. Thou shalt not cheat, and all they do is cheat. The fuck? Thou shalt not cheat was meant for women. Think about it. Think about it. I'm surprised it didn't say, women, thou shalt not cheat. Getting back to the couple, right? And their vows and the part of obey. The fuck in the Bible it says, obey your man. No, there's no way God put that in. Women, obey your man, but a man can't obey his woman? Like, I'm so frustrated. And that was the argument on IG. It says, obey your man, obey your man. Well, motherfucker, it says, don't cheat too. How about that? Your asses cheat every day. Half of you ninjas don't know how to get married. You don't know about to obey. Y'all are too scared to get married. Don't even try me. I think I'll go back and argue with somebody else after this conversation I'm having with you. Oh, just preach, sister, preach. Mellerich goes, if we think about it, the pastors never read whole passages from the Bible. You know why? Because the Bible contradicts itself. In the passage, it will contradict itself. Oh my goodness. The wife should take the vow and the wife should obey. It's in the Bible. Half you ninjas don't even go to church, but you want to quote the fucking Bible? I'm sorry I'm cursing, guys. I go there because it's so angering. I'm angrying right now. You guys are idiots. You're not having a fulfilled life. You're selfish. You're inconsiderate. You sleep with anything under the sun. You deposit babies all over the place. And then look at black women and say, it's your fault. You don't have a man. Oh, my God. Because you don't obey. Oh, get the hell out of here. I'll never obey. I'll walk around with my 5 kids and I'll be happy. I only have 1. And I will have my Mercedes Benz. And I will have my beautiful home. And you're right. Maybe I will never get a man to marry me. You're right. But I'm not settling for your BS. How about that? All right, I exaggerate. I'm over myself. Most of the New Testament writers never met or saw Jesus in their lives. I can't get over that. We're not, we got to pause here. I can't get over that part. So angry. Exactly, says Mel Rich. Right on, Tracy, sweetheart. And all those women that follow men's rhetoric, you're lost. You're not happy. Do you guys want me to post the IG where this was a problem for me. Poor girl. It was funny. It was funny, guys. It was just funny. She was just being funny. She's like, I'm not obeying. I don't care. I don't need a husband that bad. He could he could walk out right now. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying I will obey. I'm not gonna go against God and say I will obey this man. The fuck? Trifling. Just trifling. Everybody's just trifling. Let me see if I can find it and I'll post it for you guys. All right. And somebody puts the form of obeying is not meant in a sense of being disrespectfully controlling by your husband, but more so the wives submit to your own husbands as the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and himself, its Savior. And honestly, this could also be a reversal role for the husbands to do with the wife. Basically, like equally yoked of reciprocation of both parties. I like that. Then this girl puts, the women are the worst. You women, y'all go to clubs and stick your boom booms in the air and judge this poor married woman. This woman goes, anybody that defends her is not a believer in God's word. She goes, I don't care what nobody else says. The scriptures are clear. The scriptures are lies. She goes, the scriptures are clear about how a wife is supposed to be to and with her husband, and any wife, no upholding, this is how she writes, upholding her position the way God said is to gonna regret it. The fuck? And then a guy puts, oh, who is he? I love me a healthy, oh, you're a healthy man? That's what I'm talking about. This guy puts a lot of insecure dudes out here. Exactly. He goes, get your weight up. Get your weight up, homies. You really need your chick to announce she's going to obey your ass? Seriously? If you need that, you got issues with your own confidence. I like him. Truth. Let me see what else people have said. Do you want me to post this? Truth. So the same guy goes, somebody must have responded to his dumb ass. I mean, somebody must have responded to this guy in that statement because he's right. And he responds, it's not the 1940s. Wake up. Women, actually, black women outpace black men in almost every category of success today. I blame systematic racism, blunt lack of exercise, and video games. No, you blame video games? Isn't that interesting? I love that. However, many women of all colors have taken out obey from their vows for over 25 years, if not 50. There are a million words of affirmation to consummate your union without making the woman feel like she's your new dog. Damn. You're not her God or her daddy. Although I have to tell you, I was really thinking about calling my next dude that I actually wind up having sex with daddy. Isn't that sexy? I'm going to call him daddy. I've already decided, right? Imagine making love, and while you're making love, you're like, daddy, daddy. Yeah, I've already decided. You better get ready. But to my point of this guy, he's like, there are millions of words of affirmation to consummate your union without making the woman feel like she's your new dog. Ugh, you're so right. You're not her God or her daddy. Truth be told, you just as flawed as she is. So men, relax. I like him. I like him a lot. All right. Why did I know you were going to say that? I don't know. What did I say? I never know what I say until I'm like way past it. What? Edit comment. All right. Oh, wait. I said I was going to send it to you guys, but now I don't know how to send it. Oh, yeah, I do know how to send it. There. Copy link. Copy. It'll make you angry, though, so be careful what you ask for, because this post made me so angry. Whose post was this, by the way? It was The Real Source Money. All right. Okay. This is the post. Take a screenshot and go look at it. But the name is DA Real Source Money. Hi, Colton. All right. Examine your values one by one. Hold them up to the light of public scrutiny. If you can tell the world who you are and what you believe without breaking stride or hesitating, you are happy with yourself. There's no reason to continue much further in this dialogue with me because you have created a self and a life for the self, which needs no improvement. You have reached perfection. Put the book down. My life is not perfect, nor is it close to being perfect. I am not perfect, says Neil. I am, in fact, a bundle of imperfections. Sometimes I wish with all my heart that I could correct these imperfections, that I knew what causes my behaviors, what sets up my downfalls, what keeps getting in my way. That's why I've come to you, I guess. I haven't been able to find the answers on my own. I'm glad you came. I've always been here to help you. I'm here now. You don't have to find the answers on your own. You never had to. Yet it seems so presumptuous to simply sit down and dialogue with you this way, much less to imagine that you, God, are responding. I mean, this is crazy. I see. The authors of the Bible were all saying, but you're crazy. The Bible writers were witness of the life of Christ and faithfully recorded what they heard and saw. Correction, most of the New Testament writers never met or saw Jesus in their lives. They lived many years after Jesus left the earth. They wouldn't have known Jesus of Nazareth if they walked with him on the street. But the Bible writers were great believers and great historians. They took the stories which had been passed down to them, to their friends by others, elders, from elder to elder, until finally a written record was made. And not everything of the Bible authors were included in the final document. Already churches have sprung up around the teachings of Jesus, and as happens whenever and wherever people gather in groups around a powerful idea, there are certain individuals within these churches or enclaves who determine what parts of the Jesus story were going to be told and how. This process of selecting and editing continued throughout the gathering, writing, and publishing of the Gospels and the Bible. Even several centuries after the original scriptures were committed to writing, a high council of the church determined yet one more time which doctrines and truth were to be included in then the official Bible, which would be unhealthy or premature to reveal to the masses. Right? This is what we're talking about. And there have been other holy scriptures as well, each placed in writings in moments of inspiration by otherwise ordinary men, none of whom who are more crazier than you. And Neil goes, are you suggesting, you're not suggesting, are you, that these writings might one day become holy scriptures? Oh, Neil. Oh, Neil. I'm annoyed by Neil. Let's go back a little bit. The Bible writers were great believers, historians. They took the stories, which had been passed down elder to elder, friend to friend, until they were capable of a written record. Not everything of the Bible authors were included in the final document, just what we were talking about. And not everything of the Bible authors were included in the final, although churches have sprung up around the teachings of Jesus. And as happens whenever and wherever people gather in groups around a powerful idea, there were certain individuals within these churches or encaves who determined what parts of the Jesus story were going to be told and how. And how. And how. This process of selecting and editing continued throughout the gatherings, writings, and publishing of the Gospels in the Bible. Even several centuries after the original scriptures were committed to writing, high councils of the churches determined yet one more time which doctrines and truths were to be included in the then official Bible, and which would be unhealthy or premature to reveal to the masses. And there have been other holy scriptures as well, each placed in writing in moments of inspiration by otherwise ordinary men, none of whom were any more crazy than you. Exactly what we said. I need to highlight that whole part. I'm gonna have to remember this for the last time. The whole part. Exactly what we talked about before I got there, which is the Bible has been edited, rewritten, and then there's a black Bible that half of you guys don't understand. There's a whole nother Bible that they gave us in slavery to place the fear of God. And to this day, we carry the language of the black Bible to this day in our homes. To this day. When I ask a black person how they doing today, they go, I lived, I'm alive. And I'm like, baby, you're supposed to be alive. What is that shit? And I realized it's something passed down through slavery. Because no one had to be alive during slavery. The option of dying was bigger, was 80, 90%. You die from the heat. You die because your master might beat you to death. You might die during being raped. And so that history lingers on for us. And we teach that to our children. And so even in 2023, if I ask a young girl to this day, how you doing? I woke up this morning. Oh my God, you're supposed to wake up. You guys know this is one of my biggest complaints. You're supposed to wake up. Your body is designed to wake up. But with the slave mentality, we are truly grateful. Like truly grateful that we get to see another day. Truly grateful. But we got to start changing that gratitude because you're just supposed to wake up. You're designed to just wake up. All right, I'm over it. Are you suggesting, you're not suggesting, are you, that these writings might one day become holy scriptures? My child, says God, everything in life is holy. By that measure, yes, these are holy scriptures, but I will not quibble with you over words because I know what you mean. No, I do not suggest that this manuscript will one day become holy scripture. At least not for several hundred years or until the language becomes outmoded. Oh my God, boom. So if we go back to the Bible that says you should obey your husband, fuck out of here. No, that was put in by man for women to be constantly submissive, Handmaid's Tale. Fuck out of here. I just want to have joy with my partner. If my partner tells me what to do, it's gonna be a wrap. I'm divorced now because no, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. No one better ever tell me get in the car. Nope, it's a wrap. Sit down. Nope, it's a wrap. Nobody better ever grab my hand. Now, don't get it twisted. I've had those experiences. I didn't like them. You don't get to tell me what to do and not be in a loving place with me. I'm not your dog. Hence, divorced. Happily divorced, though, right? I once met a girl. I was working at the hospital, and I was getting a divorce. And coming to work every day, joyful. Happy, joyful. Not because I was getting a divorce, because I was free. And I told a couple of people and I just went on about my business. I didn't know I was supposed to be, oh, everybody, I'm getting a divorce and I'm so miserable and look at me, I'm miserable. No, I went to work every day the way you guys see me every day, joyful. And one of the aides came up to me and she goes, oh my God, Tracy, I didn't know. And I was like, no, what? I didn't know what she meant. I was like, what? What? You didn't know what? And she goes, I didn't know you were getting a divorce. I was like, oh, girl, please. And she goes, wait, I always see you so happy. And I was like, yeah, what am I supposed to be? The divorce doesn't define me. The divorce separates me from the ugly I've been experiencing. The divorce separates me from someone that kept putting something inside my head, like trying to convince me that I'm not pretty, trying to convince me that I'm overweight, was happy when I became overweight, right? Was finally content when I was a blubber blood. a blubber butt. Was happy when I was so overweight, I didn't want to leave my house. Couldn't find clothes to wear. And I was too young for all of this. But he had compromised my self esteem so badly that I let him win. And that didn't work for me. And so I divorced him. I had already had my son by this time, and I was like, I'm out. Like, I can't live in this ugly. And then he cheated on top of everything else. Like, I gotta go. Yeah. And she's like, I never would have guessed that you were getting a divorce. I was like, honey child, it's cool. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm glad about getting a divorce. Never had a single regret in my life. Well, maybe, because my ex-husband always made decent money. So maybe by way of financial security. But one day I talked to God and I said, if my husband can have financial security, can't I? And then I realized financial security was up to me. I was always looking for a man after my husband to balance out what I thought was financial security. And I just began to realize, having conversations with God, by the way, is that I was asking for something I didn't need anymore, right? And that what I really needed to do was figure out that I am in control of even my finances. So I started documenting everything that I did with my finances every day. I saved every receipt. Back in the day, there was no cell phone. I saved every receipt and I waited for a month. I shouldn't have waited for a month, but I waited for a month and I realized how much little things add up and that I could spend $500 in a month on $20 shopping sprees. I learned this young, which is $500 I could have just had in my pocket. And the $500 I was spending on shopping sprees, little, $20, 20, 10, 15, little stuff. But I was still spending and allotting myself, listen to this, $200 a week on groceries, which might have been a lot of miscellaneous stuff, right? You know, I might have been picking up things I didn't need, right? So right off the bat with the young baby, and I have to tell you, I don't think that included formula, which can cost you $60. So I might have been spending $260 on, no, not on formula, because when I left my husband, my son was 2, so he wasn't on formula. So no, $200 a week, no formula. So right off the bat, I'm spending 2, 4, 6, 8, $800 on groceries and another 500 on miscellaneous stuff because I would spend about 100, no, 400. Well, I said 500. I remember it being 500 because I would spend weekly about 100 to $125 on miscellaneous crap. And I kept crying that I was broke. I didn't have enough money. And when I looked at my spending habits, that's when life changed for me. I really had to question everything that I was purchasing. And when you hold on to those receipts, let me tell you how bad you will feel. So now I do it weekly. I don't do it so much anymore because I'm well disciplined now. But now I do it weekly. I don't wait for the whole month to watch myself waste money. I'll look at it in the week and I'll be like, I actually didn't need this. Let me tell you something else I do. When I buy groceries, nothing pisses me off. When I buy groceries, I think I want to make something. I never make it and then it spoils. To this day, I do this with cucumbers. To this day, I pick up cucumbers, meaning to make cucumber juice. I never do it. the cucumber spoils. That's a waste of money. I don't really care if the cucumbers cost 2 for $1. That's a waste of money and resources that maybe somebody else could have had. It's little things like that, right? How did I get there? All right. Let me go back. My child, everything in life is holy by the measure. Yes, there are holy writings. I will not quibble with you over words because I know what you mean. No, I do not suggest that this manuscript will one day become holy scripture, at least not for several hundred years or until the language becomes outmoded, like the word obey. You see, the problem is that the language here is too colloquial, too conversational, too contemporary. People assume that if God were to talk directly with you, God would not sound like the fellow next door. There should be some unifying, if not to say defying structure to the language, some dignity, some sense of godliness. As I said earlier, that's part of the problem. People have a sense of God as showing up in only one form. Anything which violates that form is seen as blasphemy, right? But God shows up in many forms, right? All right. I'm getting tired, guys. As I said earlier, as you said earlier, but let's drive to the heart of your question. Why do you think it's crazy for you to be able to have a dialogue with God? Do you not believe in prayer? Yes, says Neil, but that's different. Prayer for me has always been one way. I ask and God remains immutable. And God goes, God has never answered a prayer? Yes, says Neil, but never verbally. Oh, I've had all kinds of things happen in my life that I was convinced were an answer, a very direct answer to prayer, but God has never spoken to me. And God goes, I see. So this God in which you believe, this God can do anything. He just cannot speak to you. And Neil goes, of course God can speak if God wants to. It just doesn't seem probable that God would want to speak to me. Let's stop there. Please know, everyone, God does speak to you. You understand? God speaks to you. One day, it got really quiet in my home. And I said, God, it's quiet. Why? God never answered me in a way I wanted my answer. God said, get some rest. Literally said in my head, get some rest. And I was like, oh, I'm not listening to you. This dumb, get some rest. I need to know why, God, I'm so quiet. And God repeated, get some rest. And I still didn't listen. I prefer to worry than rest. And so I went to God several times after that. And I said, why am I so quiet? Like I'm having fear now, God. And God said, get some rest. And so I understood finally that God wanted me to rest and that everything will be taken care of, which it was. And this went on for months and months. And so I've learned to take naps during the day. I'll get up. Usually I'm up at 6 or 7. Lately it hasn't been like that. I usually get up at 6 or 7. I do my morning show. I do some reading. I usually eat my lunch about 1. And then I'm napping. And this went on for months. And I don't take naps. But God said rest. And so I thought resting was like luxuriating on my sofa watching TV. But I always went to sleep for at least 3 hours, right? Which is unheard of. And I did this for months. And then I took a job at this hotel. And I don't rest anymore. I'm busy. I'm always helping out my boss. It's like a nightmare and a blessing at the same time. And for the first time, I realized why God told me to rest. because the energy that's coming through this hotel is very vibrant and bouncy and takes a lot of my energetic resources from me. Because remember, guys, I'm 60. I'm an old broad. I'm not trying to compete with the young kids with their energy. They have it naturally, and here I am going back and doing a 9 to 5, and I've never done a 9 to 5 in the past. What? How long have I been doing this? Over 20 years. So let's for right now, 25 years. I don't want to count. So my point to you is, God does talk to you. Do you listen? When God said rest, I was like, oh, that's funny. I don't know what that means. I'm not resting. So I made sure I kept myself busy in my house. And I made sure I went out of the house and got some groceries. But resting is not a thing. I made sure got out and stuck it out with the sun. When God said rest, I was fighting God the whole time, which served me right. Because if you guys remember, what did the sun do? Cook the fuck out of me. When God said rest, and I was like, nope, not doing it. So I would venture out with my cart or my umbrella. It was hilarious because I refused to listen to the silliness that God had for me, which was rest. And I kept asking the same question: why am I so quiet? Why am I so quiet? And God kept having the same answer. And finally, I heard the answer, not knowing what the future was going to look like. Finally, I heard, okay, God, I'm going to rest. I'm going to relax. I'm going to lay on my sofa and, I'll go to sleep. And it was beautiful once I stopped resisting God's word, because I heard God. I didn't want to hear him because I needed him to talk in my language, answer me. But God said, rest. He didn't want to tell me the future. He didn't want to tell me I was going to meet a person that was going to change my life forever, because I might have resisted that too. So he gave me a snippet: rest. Thank you, Devin. We feel we're not productive if we don't accomplish something every single minute. And once I stopped fighting the word of God, that wasn't in the Bible. This was God in my head, in my temple, right? Once I stopped fighting that spirit that was telling me an amazing thing, which was rest. God wasn't telling me to find a cat and slaughter the cat. No, God said rest. It was simple. It was loving. And once I could hear him, then I begun to rest. And I rested for months. I think February, March, April. Once I understood what rest meant, I literally rested. I literally. And then I got busy. And then I understood. And that was beautiful. That I didn't fight him to the end. And in hindsight, if I hadn't rested, I'm pretty sure I would have met up with this woman anyway. God would have had me meet up with this woman. He just didn't want me to be a basket case. Because once I met up with this, my boss, and the energy was so vibrant, had I not rested, I would have had probably a nervous breakdown. I wasn't ready for the vibrancy of what this job had to offer. But God knew, so he said, rest. And I'm glad I listened to the voice of God, right? And so, of course, God can speak to you if God wants to. It just doesn't seem probable that God would want to speak to me, says Neil. So I want you all to be comforted that I already know God speaks to you every day. I already know it. How we interpret what God is trying to say to us then becomes an issue within us. Is it God, or Should I listen? Like, I don't know what this is, because God always talks to us. And all spirits, on our highest good, always talks to us in our own voice. It's your voice that you hear that God uses to talk to you. No, it's not being obedient. I want to be really careful with the word obedient. It's not being obedient. It's understanding that if you're getting direction from God, He's doing it for your greater good. But I want to be careful with the word obedient, because that's a church word. And I don't believe in church words, because I feel like I'm being disciplined, right? When God was saying to me, rest, He wasn't yelling at me. He wasn't, you better listen to me, young lady. He wasn't doing that. He was like, rest. And I was like, I'm not resting. I don't get that, God. Yeah, silliness. And every time I was like, I'm not busy, God. Why am I not busy? And God would go, rest. Never once yelling at me, right? Never once talking to me like I was His child, like I was ignorant, right? Never asking me to be obedient. Why? Because God does not give a fuck if we are obedient or not. He cares not. If I chose not to rest, God would have been like, oh, well, I told her, okay, she didn't listen. Now she's going to meet up with this person, and her body's not going to be able to handle the energy that's going to come out of this job. But He would have never been mad at me. Obedience suggests that God would be mad at me if I didn't listen. I know God is never mad at me. I know God is never mad at me if I curse, which is why I curse often. I have no expectation of going to heaven and God going, well, the cursing, that's a different mansion. You can't be up there, Tracy. You cursed a lot. Jesus cursed when He turned the table over at the church people, outside the churches, inside the churches. Jesus cussed them motherfuckers out, I promise you, in whatever curse words were used back in the day. So, choice, not chastising you, right? Because I don't want to feel like I'm your God. But the word obedient, let's eradicate that from our sense of being, right? Obedience is a word that should be resisted. None of us have to be obedient, not even to God, because God is not asking us to be obedient. God is asking us to be acknowledging that we have a right to be fulfilled in every essence of our life, expansion, joyful, not necessarily obedient. There are laws, of course, that helps keep structure and order, and deviating from the law could be structurally unsound for society, structurally unsound for families. But as we develop, laws and structure have to be compromised so that it fits a greater narrative as society grows. And that includes families, right? When you have a 5-year-old, you tell that 5-year-old don't run in the street, that 5-year-old better not run in the street. You're doing it for their greater good. If they don't listen, you have to spank them, because you have to show them pain other than a car accident. So you have to give them something to understand. This is why it's bad. So you spank them a little bit on the butt, right? I hate that. But sometimes that type of spanking is for the greater good, right? That's when you need a child to be obedient. But as these childs get 14, them rotten 14-year-olds, oh my God, do they challenge you. Much in a way, we don't listen to God either. Like I said, God said rest. And I was like, joke, not happening. Right? So eradicate obedience. Rip it up. Spit it out. Vomit it in the toilet. It doesn't belong anywhere. No one has to be obedient. However, we have to have structures that make sense and then we have to figure out why something didn't work out. And maybe things don't work out because this was too structured, this needs to change, this needs to evolve, this needs to grow. And so now we no longer need the word obedience because there's a compromising effect on getting the proper responses. Boom. Did I help, Choice? All right. I love you all. Thank you for putting up with me. I love you. Devin says, I'm trying not to crack up while working. I know that happens all the time. I love you guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.